Let us visualize the scene. Consider two students, both high achievers, navigating the high-pressure environment of an elite university. They stand before the final gauntlet of their education, exams that will determine their professional trajectories. Let us call them Mary and Lily. Mary comes from a background of profound financial insulation. She feels the crushing weight of expectation, a specific anxiety common to those fighting to maintain a dynastic status. To manage this, she utilizes a prescription for cognitive enhancement drugs, pharmaceuticals like Ritalin or modafinil. Whether obtained through a private physician or purchased on a thriving gray market, these compounds provide her with an almost chemical serenity. She bypasses the biological necessity of exhaustion, accessing days of effortless, sustained clarity. Then there is Lily. She comes from a low-income background, balancing her studies with part-time work to secure rent and food. For Lily, every hour of study is a physical conquest. Her enhancement strategy is limited to sheer grinding discipline, aggressive time management, and copious amounts of cheap coffee. There is a moment of hesitation, a psychological friction every time she forces her tired mind back to the text, a friction Mary simply dissolves with a pill. The conversation surrounding this scenario often drifts toward health risks or productivity metrics, but those are distractions. The core conflict is not individual, it is structural. The moment a cognitive advantage can be purchased, the moment effortless focus carries a price tag, the competition ceases to be a measurement of talent or tenacity. It becomes a measurement of disposable income. This dynamic fundamentally weaponizes socioeconomic disparity. To cut through the hype surrounding human enhancement, we must establish a rigorous framework. We will unpack the definitions of Human Enhancement Technology, or HET, analyze how it functions as a multiplier for existing inequality, and examine the regulatory battlegrounds of professional sports to determine if current legal structures can withstand a world where peak performance is a commodity. We must ground this discussion not in speculative fiction, but in technologies currently available or imminent. HET encompasses any intervention designed to improve performance beyond the body's natural capacity or species-typical limits. Effective regulation requires a spectrum based on function and invasiveness. At the lower end of the cognitive spectrum lies the pharmaceutical intervention. Drugs like methylphenidate allow users to perform at peak levels for durations that defy natural biology. These offer a temporary but significant boost. At the high end, we encounter the radical and the invasive, brain-computer interfaces. These are not merely restorative devices for dementia, but tools for superhuman cognition, enabling direct data access or thought-to-thought communication. The distinction is critical. Swallowing a pill differs legally and ethically from surgically implanting a chip. This spectrum extends to the physical. We have long regulated anabolic steroids and growth hormones which alter biological limits of strength and recovery. We now face the reality of bionic limbs, complex devices surgically integrated with the nervous system that exceed the speed and strength of biological tissue. Finally, there is genetic enhancement, the absolute zenith of HET. While somatic editing alters cells within a single body, germline editing crosses the ultimate boundary. These changes are heritable, passed down to future generations, raising the specter of designer babies and permanent alterations to the human gene pool. Defining HET too broadly renders regulation impossible. Eyeglasses and education could be considered enhancements. Therefore, we anchor the legal definition to the body. A meaningful distinction exists between an external aid, like a smartwatch or a library, which requires active user engagement and effort. A smart drug or a doping agent functions passively. Once ingested, the technology performs the heavy biological lifting. This minimizes the necessity of discipline and shifts the outcome from a result of effort to a result of access. To regulate this, we propose a variable degree spectrum. Degree 1 is non-enhancement. This includes external, effort-based aids like literacy or caffeine, which remain unregulated. Degree 2 is moderate or species-typical enhancement. This covers interventions like smart drugs, which push performance to the peak of human potential but remain temporary. Degree 3 is radical enhancement. This includes brain chips and germline editing, interventions that are invasive, costly, permanent, and push capabilities beyond the species maximum. Regulation is justified only when specific conditions are met: the presence of novel harms, the incapacity of existing laws to address them, and a severity that demands a specific regulatory mix. A university's plagiarism policy is incapable of addressing a student on smart drugs, since such policies are designed to catch deception, not structural inequality. The harm is not that Mary broke a rule. The harm is that the competitive playing field, the mechanism used to allocate society's rewards, has been corrupted by wealth. This demands sui generis regulation, law created specifically for this unique context. The primary harm here is the erosion of meritocracy. Society validates rewards based on a formula of talent plus effort. We celebrate the grueling training of the athlete or the sleepless nights of the scholar, because that effort validates the deservingness of the victory. HET offers a shortcut that bypasses this equation. The passive nature of the enhancement minimizes the effort component, making the reward a reflection of access rather than tenacity. In high-stakes environments, university admissions, bar exams, elite hiring, enhancements become positional goods. The value of a positional good is derived entirely from its scarcity. It is valuable only because others do not have it. In this zero-sum game, Mary's drug-induced performance actively devalues Lily's unenhanced efforts. This occurs against a backdrop of staggering global inequality, where the top 10% of the population owns 76% of household wealth. Technology already compounds this, with automation rewarding cognitive elites while displacing routine labor. HET acts as a multiplier, allowing the affluent to lock today's economic hierarchy into tomorrow's biology. International human rights law is ill-equipped to handle this. It is designed to prevent discrimination based on identity, race, gender, religion, not to enforce distributive justice or economic opportunity. Therefore, we turn to the microcosm of professional sports, an arena defined by its commitment to fair competition. The World Anti-Doping Code is built on the spirit of sport, a concept analogous to our meritocratic ideal. It employs strict liability. An athlete is responsible for their body regardless of intent. Legal precedents, such as FNS versus France, show that courts are willing to override individual privacy rights to protect the integrity of competition and the rights of unenhanced competitors. However, the inconsistency regarding natural advantages, seen in the treatment of Oscar Pistorius's blades versus Castor Semenya's natural hormone levels, demonstrates that attempting to police natural diversity is fraught with ethical peril. This reinforces our need for our definition to stick strictly to artificial bodily interventions. We propose a two-phase regulatory model. Phase 1 is screening. We apply our test to determine necessity. Coffee, being cheap and external, requires no regulation. A brain chip, being radical, exclusive, and permanent, demands strict intervention. Smart drugs, being positional and wealth-dependent, present a strong prima facie case for regulation. Phase 2 is design. Rather than unwieldy government legislation, we advocate for soft law and private ordering.
Institutions, universities, employers, licensing bodies must create their own micro-constitutions. We suggest a responsive regulatory pyramid. It begins with education and clear policy, ensuring students understand that unauthorized chemical enhancement is a violation of competitive integrity. For enforcement, purely punitive measures like expulsion may be disproportionate for moderate enhancements. Instead, we propose transcript asterisking. If a student is found to have achieved their grades through unauthorized chemical enhancement, a permanent notation is added to their record. This does not remove them from the institution, but it attacks the positional value of the degree. It signals to the marketplace that the credential was not achieved through merit alone, thereby neutralizing the positional advantage.
The goal is to prioritize distributive justice. Even if a perfectly level playing field is impossible, there is immense value in naming socioeconomic access as a critical competitive distortion. By identifying this specific harm, we lay the groundwork for ethical norms to evolve alongside technology. Without such regulation, the competitive landscape will shift from a test of character and effort to a test of solvency, permanently encoding economic privilege into the human experience.